Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I am your host, Brother Zay, and today we have with me Producer Jay.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on, man? All right, let's get right into all the good stuff. Let's hit that like button, subscribe if you're on YouTube, rate us if you're listening to us on the podcast, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and rate us and just like and share. You know, it's all free. It supports us, and you can also support our sponsors. Support us by supporting them. Use code LUP at checkout for Dubby Energy to get all your Dubby Energy drinks as well as shakers. They even have merch if you want. You can still
They actually
use code.
just added energy drinks in a can recently.
Yes, you can buy like a big can like a Red Bulls, but it's all jitterless and sugar free. It's all really good.
Yes, I want to try that out.
I actually got one. I got some coming, so
Nice.
looking forward to tasting that. As well as click the links down below in our description to get access to the best deals for NordVPN for all your VPN purposes, as well as if you're looking to buy a pre-built PC, you go to Starforge Gaming. Links are in the description. If you click the links, they'll help us out. We appreciate y'all very much. All
Yes.
right, Bruce J, talk to me. What you been playing?
Been playing actually a decent amount. I've been hopping back and forth between games.
Okay.
I'm still going through Metal Gear Solid. I got past a very hard part. Now it's like stepping stones. Like once I get to the next part, then there's another hard part that I gotta go through. I'm like right at the end, but it's just so tedious. But I'm making my way through. But also, I mean, we mentioned it last week that it was coming out. I've been playing the new Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree, and that has been very fun. Although it's very controversial, apparently. I don't understand why. It's Elden Ring. Like we knew it was a hard game. Like why are people all of a sudden comparing it to or not comparing it, but just like complaining about it being too hard? Like
It is ridiculously
what it
hard.
is.
It is ridiculously hard. I've been playing it as well.
Yeah, so it's like I get it, but at the same time it's like that's what you signed up for. There's people who played the main game who like love the main game and are saying like the DLC is too hard. And I'm just like that makes no sense. But what I'm thinking is that a lot of people who got into Elden Ring got into it because I mean, I feel like we said it before, Elden Ring is probably the easiest Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Soulsborne game out of all of them. So it's the most easiest to get into. It's a lot more I want to say easy. Like I don't want to say it's like too forgiving, but it I think the open world aspect helps a lot. And
It does.
I think it makes it a lot more intuitive for people who are not really into those Soulsborne games to get into it.
Also, I think it's because like Kai's been playing on stream. He did the marathon stream for like over 100 hours, and it took him long time to actually beat the game, and he, suffered through it. He got so many subs, so many people watching. So I think the community itself has grown, and there's people started playing Elden Ring so that they can play the DLC because Kai was playing it, but also, other streamers are picking it up again, getting ready for the DLC, and then the DLC comes out, and you're basically starting at level 1, even though your character is level whatever it is. Like my character's level 200 to 204, and I was going out there like if I was a level 1, tarnished still. So it's definitely rough and made to play rough. You have to do things and get amulets and little fragments in order to sort of level you up in the DLC. So it's definitely harder, but still fun and enjoyable. I was playing it last night.
Yeah, no, I've been playing it ever since it came out. I've been slowly but surely making my way through it. I think I just got past the divine beast, that lion looking guy.
Oh yeah, that's the first boss technically.
Yeah, that's the first boss. So I mean, I know technically you can go, because that's the thing about Elden Ring. You could go anywhere, but that was one of the quote unquote first boss.
Yes.
So I beat him, and now I'm working my way through it. But honestly, I feel like it's more reminiscent of the older Dark Souls games, because I feel like it's it's more so yeah, they have the open world aspect, but once you get into the areas where like the enemies and bosses are, it's very linear. Like there's
Yeah.
only like small corridors and you have to traverse through all these obstacles and stuff like that. So I appreciate that they're kind of going back to their roots essentially. Um but yeah, the whole bit it's like starting over from zero essentially because you have to there's a different leveling system. It's like I get why they did that because you don't they don't want people to blow through the DLC who are like you like level 200 and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like 190 right now, but they have a separate leveling system that only affects the DLC, so you basically are starting from scratch. But at least you get all like your weapons and stuff like that, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just your
Yeah,
leveling
but
you have to worry
I
about.
mean, my weapons weren't doing nothing. I had to
No?
find some new ones, and I did find a really good, of course, with the help of TikTok and the internet,
Yeah.
I was able to find
I
a
remember you
really
sent
good
me
sword.
Yeah, you sent me one, and I didn't even know it was there, and I was looking for it, and yeah, I got it just recently.
Nice,
So
nice. Yeah, see, I was just like, I need a new weapon, you know. So, although because I do have a magic build, I know people will frown upon that, but I don't care.
yeah, do whatever you
Um,
want. That's the whole point of the game. It's in the game for a reason.
yeah. So I have a magic build, but I also have swords and katanas and stuff, and I've been using this new sword, and it's amazing. Has a really good it's magic base, so it's like the Moonveil, but with magic. It's crazy.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I have one that's like magic and what's the other one? It's like because it's different from magic. It's like you need intelligence and
yeah,
then
intelligence, faith, or
faith.
intelligence, and then yeah.
Yeah. So I have the sword of night and fire.
Okay, I have that
Yeah,
one. That's from the old one.
Yeah, that's from the base game. So
Yeah,
I've been using that, and so far it's been pretty like versatile. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I like this so much because like it has good attacking, like regular attacks, but then you can also use it for fire, and you can also use it for magic. So it's
yeah.
like it's kind of very like all encompassing. Granted, all of them are not like as strong as it would have been if I just focused on one, but that's how I like to play my games. Like I don't like to focus on just one aspect. I try to be like a jack of all trades type. So that way whenever I encounter something that requires a different skill set or a different power or whatever, I'm like, okay, I can just adapt to it because I'm already kind of versed in that area. And that's I mean for RPGs, I mean granted like all the games if that they don't give you that option, but for most like RPGs games that let you play in different styles, I try to be more versatile and how I play instead of just focusing on one because I feel like yeah, like if that's how you like to play, that's fine. And if it works, then it works. But for me, like I don't want to get to a point where I get stuck and then
And
I'm just
then
like, "Oh shit, I'm on the wrong build. I can't pass this." Cuz I've heard that too. A lot of people have been saying like, "Oh, I picked the wrong build. I got to restart or respec because I put all my points into a certain attribute that is not gonna work for this boss. So I don't want to run into that situation. So I
oh
try to.
please, I've respec like 4 times already in the DLC. It's
See, that's
gonna
the thing.
happen.
No, see, that's the thing. Like I try to avoid that. I think I did it like once or twice, like as like in the beginning when I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I want to like where do I want to put my points to?
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the beauty of Elden Ring or like Soulsborne games because like you can just play how you want, and that's ultimately the best aspect of it. And I think a lot of people are not really understanding it, which is why they're getting frustrated. Like they think they have to play a certain way because that's how they always play these games. Like no, you can try different stuff and
yeah.
see what works. Um, but yeah, like you said with the Kai Cenat playing Elden Ring, and even he was saying like, "Yo, like he was a casual of casual gamer," and he was saying that like he used to think Spider-Man was the best game ever made, and
Yeah.
ever since like he played like games like Red Dead and Elden Ring, and who knows what he's gonna play next, he's like, nah, there's a lot more games out there to enjoy and experience. So, and even he was saying like, yeah, it's hard, but like there's no better feeling when you beat a boss after like dying like 700 times. So
Yeah.
it's really good, and I'm enjoying it so far. I can't wait to be playing more of it.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly what I've been playing. Elden Ring.
yeah, And it's funny,
Um,
the creator, Miyazaki, he was saying, even he said that like Elden Ring is not his like perfect game. Like he
yeah,
still wants to like top it. I'm just like, how?
yeah,
How do
Elden
you
Ring's so
top?
good.
Yeah, Elden Ring's like the perfect version of like a Dark Souls Soulsborne game, and he
Yeah,
still feels like he can do better.
I mean, there is definitely things that you can change to make the game better, for sure. But it's still a really great game.
It's really
The
good.
base
Yeah.
game is great. The DLC is really good. Because I've seen like hidden stuff, hidden paths. I kind of sort of spoiled myself a little bit with
Yeah.
like secret stuff that you can do, and I'm just like, man, this game is very well made. So if
Yeah.
he thinks that this game is not the best that he can do, we can't wait to see what he really can do. You
No,
know?
I'm looking forward to whatever he has next. And
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
interesting too, because like FromSoft games are one of the very few franchises. I mean, they're technically different franchises, but their games always go up. Like I think maybe like once or twice it's gone being like one their next game is not as good as like the first one before it. Like I think you could argue like Dark Souls 2 is not as good as 1, or you can say like Demon Souls or like Dark Souls 3 is not as good as Demon Souls or whatever. But for the most part, it's always gone up, and I feel like Elden Ring is at the peak, and if he feels like he can top that, then we're in
Let him
for
let
a
him
while.
try.
Yeah,
We
let him
want to
try.
see it.
We're waiting. I mean, we waited for like 2 years for this DLC, so
Yes, yes. I know brother Matt is was excited when it was coming out, so he's been waiting forever. I went in apprehensive. I didn't want to get it right away because
no, me neither.
I
Initially, I wasn't
know,
gonna get it either. We were
yeah, I
talking
know
about it.
how it is. It's like, this game is hard and it's frustrating, but it is fun. I love the open world aspect of it. That's like my favorite part. Like the bosses, yes, okay, great. They're hard. You got to beat them to continue and progress. But the open world aspect of it, finding new things and just exploring is it's been really fun. I've been doing it. I do that a lot. Like, I have a friend who's been playing Jordan, who he was just going from boss to boss, and I'm over here exploring. He said, "How did you find this?" And I'm like, "I was just exploring." He said,
You
"This
gotta
is the end of the
explore.
game." I was like, "Well, I just got here just by exploring." you know.
Yeah,
So that's like my favorite part of Elden Ring is just going out to the open world and exploring and seeing what I find.
right.
And dying in the DLC is not nearly as bad as before. I don't care about losing 100,000 or even 200,000 rings
Yeah, because that
because
don't mean anything to you
it
now.
doesn't mean anything. It takes like three and a half. It says like 350,000 runes to level up once for me now. So
Same.
like if I lose 100,000 runes, like whatever. I'm just vibing out in this world.
Yeah, it's funny. It's crazy how like happens. Like when you first play, like 100,000 is like that's a crazy amount, and
Yeah.
then like now it's just like whatever.
Yeah. Oh, this boss killed me? Fuck it. I ain't going back in there for those runes. Let's keep
Right.
moving.
I remember that happened to me where like I forgot to pick up the runes when I died,
Yes.
and I died again. And at first I was like, oh man, but then I was like, I didn't really have that much, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, that's really all I've been playing this week. I want to play other games for sure, but Elden Ring has taken over.
I know. Like you gotta make time for Elden Ring. Like that's
Yes,
just how it is.
yes, exactly. All right, I guess we'll jump right into the news, and I know it's a little bit all over the place. We don't have a lot, but we have some major controversy that we want to talk about because it has to do with video games and content creators, much like ourselves,
Yeah.
and sort of like all the controversy that's been going around with one creator, one former Twitch creator, and potentially former YouTube creator, Dr. Disrespect. So, if you're in the know, or maybe if you're not, you don't know, Dr. Disrespect is a streamer, was a streamer on Twitch. He was in 2020 permanently banned from Twitch, and nobody knew why. No, nothing was no no explanation was given for his ban. He took a little break and then went to YouTube and built a following there on YouTube and sustained his sort of famous streak, streaming on YouTube. And it turns out a former Twitch employee came forward and came out came out and said allegations of why he was banned. And nobody knew if these allegations were true. The allegations were that he was sexting a minor back in 2017, before he was permanently banned. And ever since then, it's been spiraling out of control. He's made some remarks on the situation and even came out the other day and stated that, yes, he was inappropriately texting a minor. And now the fallout begins. And
Yeah.
it's I mean, I'll be honest. I did follow him on YouTube when he went to YouTube. Some of his streams were very, entertaining, but that was it. It's done for.
Yeah.
You can't inappropriately text minors and then think everything's gonna be peachy.
Yeah, I don't. All right, I'll just be upfront. Like, I never liked him. Like, it wasn't. I didn't think he was like. I mean, before all this happened, I didn't think he was like a bad person. I just didn't like his character. I didn't like his demeanor. He just came across as just like an asshole. And yeah. I felt like that's not the type of person. I mean, granted, I don't watch a lot of streamers, but like that's not the type of person I want to watch. So I always kind of avoided him, and I always just assumed that he was just a douche, like the typical Call of Duty douche who just likes to, talk trash and put on that like machismo persona just because, he thinks he's cool like that, whatever.
Well, apparently that's just his streamer persona.
I know, and that's the thing. It's like,
and people liked it.
Yeah, people liked it. I don't. It wasn't my thing. I'm granted, maybe he was different off screen or whatever. Yeah. I never really looked into it, but yeah. So I'm this thing. I remember hearing about this like in 2020, like when he got banned. It was a controversy back then because
yes,
there was no insight about why or what he did or anything like that. They just straight up banned him. Yeah, and it was a talk of the town, well, not the town, but like the internet. Like people was like, why'd they ban him? That seems very wrong. Like, why would they just ban him and not say anything and stuff like that? And then now, all these years later, we find out what it was. And while, yeah, obviously, like, that's a fucked up thing to do. I'm gonna just say it like that. You can't do that. And the fact that he admitted to it, was just like the final nail in the coffin. Like, if he were to stay quiet, granted, I don't think he could have, because people would have been hounding him for the rest of his career. True. But I mean, what career he has now, I don't think he will, unless he goes to kick, like we said in the group chat. But the fact that he kind of outed himself was just the final nail in the coffin, and now it's now the spotlight is on Twitch, because why did they cover this up? Why would they not say, like, out in the open, hey, or not even say, but like just say like misconduct or something like that. Give a reason for why he was banned instead of just being like super secret about it. It comes across as very shady that they would try to protect their reputation and be like, oh, one of our top streamers was actually a pedophile. Like, they don't want to say that, so they just try to cover it up. And it's just like, first of all, you can't control what the users of your platform do. All you can do is police, or not police, but like just take action when there needs to be action taken.
Try to keep users safe.
Yeah, keep users safe. If they know what he did up front and why you did what you did, then they'll appreciate you for taking action. Because I think all this happened in 2017, and that was allegedly when he cheated on his wife. And then even more stuff came out that you posted in the group chat that he was doing it with a bunch of people. It wasn't just this minor. He was doing it like with a bunch of people, like with cam girls and stuff like that. So he was like a serial text sexter or whatever. But yeah. So it comes down to the fact that like this type of stuff needs to be maybe not like broadcasted out in the open and shown off area, because some of it is sensitive, like especially for the victims. You don't want their names to be plastered all over the place, but at least they could have given a reason. And I think this whole situation is very, very shitty. And I think honestly, like, it goes to show that like you really don't know the people that you watch,
Yeah.
and you have to be careful with who you parasocial with, because a lot of people do that. They'll look at these streamers and they'll try and be like, oh, they look up to them, like they're their idols, like I want to be like them, and it's just like you don't know who they are off the camera, so you
Yeah.
have to be careful. You don't know what they do behind closed doors, and it's a shame because now all these people who there was so much people defending him and saying, oh, we need to know what happened, like why are we blaming him, innocent until proven guilty, blah 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 blah, and now we know what happened, and now they have to talk that back and be like, oh well, I didn't know, and it's like, well, yeah, you didn't know, so why are you running deep for him if you didn't know? Like Grant said, some of them were his friends, so obviously you're gonna stick up for your friends, but at least you gotta have an open mind to this type of stuff. You can't just like dismiss it and be like, that's not, that would never happen. He would never do that. It's like, but he did it. So it's like, you don't know. You never know.
So the thing with Twitch, right? So they have this whole legal thing, right? They couldn't do it because they settled in case,
Well,
like
yeah,
Dr. Disrespect said, they went to arbitration, and no criminal activity was found, so they didn't bring it to the police or anything. So they basically signed NDAs and told everybody to just like whatever, let's forget about it, which is still shady on Twitch's part, absolutely. No, but the another thing that people don't realize now, which is, so there are other streamers who played with Doc, like you said, his friends.
yeah,
So one in particular who I followed for a long time, Z Laner, he's of Optic, the gaming organization.
yeah,
Um, Z Laner is a very very low key streamer. He's famous. He's really good at video games, like super good. Like this dude is like he's a wizard with when it comes to the games. And he's really good friends with Dr. Disrespect, and they play all the time. They play together all the time. And he put out a statement, he was very, you can see how absolutely devastated he was, confused and hurt just in his video that he put out. So this doesn't just affect uh the people that were involved, it affects his friends, affects his family, you know. You
yeah. I can't
can
imagine like what's going on in his home. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of craziness going around with this. It's really sad to see the good streamers like Zlaner when he came out and did that video. The video response was, you can tell he was hurt. He
yeah,
obviously said none of all that is absolutely despicable and he can't support that. So I mean, he's basically just lost a friend, you know,
yeah,
and lost a good friend because to him, despite what we think about Dr. Disrespect, he may be a different person behind his persona, his streaming persona. And Zlaner is just Zlaner. So
yeah,
he knew Dr. Disrespect. He knew Guy B, you know? He knew the man behind the mask. So for him to say his actual friend did this, and now he has to sort of save his own career and to say and basically shit on his friend the whole time. Like, I'm done. That's it. We're done.
yeah,
And that's it's really sad to see the downfall of this streamer affect others as bad as it has.
yeah. And this should be an example for any streamer or any person like in the limelight to just understand that you are not invulnerable to a downfall or to anything like this. If you are doing stuff behind the scenes that you know you should not be doing, your status is not going to protect you. You may think it will because, oh, you got connects in Twitch, they could cover stuff up and blah, blah, blah. But eventually, it'll all come crumbling down. It happens to almost everybody. Like celebrities, politicians, everybody you know will always get caught. So it's like you cannot pretend like you'll just be covered up all this time. Like if you're doing something shady, just stop it. Just don't do it. Think about if somebody else were to see what you're doing, how would they react? And that's it.
Yeah.
So, and what's interesting too is that Dr. Disrespect had a lot of brand deals with like games. He was in like 2K. He had his own like I think his own quest, like where you can unlock certain stuff. He had a partnership with the 49ers.
Yep. And Turtle Beach headsets.
Turtle Beach headsets. I think in the 2020 when he first got banned, he was gonna be I think a Call of Duty skin, and then that whole controversy kind of like uh nixed those plans. But it's like he had a lot of stuff, and it's like now these brands are trying to like quickly shuffle away and make sure like he's out of their stuff, and so that way they don't associate with him. His own gaming studio that he co-founded,
yeah, Midnight
Society, they kicked him out. They were just like, nah, we can't do this. And that was one of the first like signs that like, yeah, this shit is probably real. Because if you look at their statement, they didn't say this is what happened, but they said like they made it very clear that they
looked at it, they investigated.
Yeah, they
investigated it.
They presumed his innocence.
Exactly.
And then once they investigated, they kicked him out, and that they've always wanted to stand on the facts. And that's what they did. So
right when that statement came out, I knew automatically, oh man, he actually did something bad.
Yeah.
And it's I knew they weren't just gonna kick him out for nothing.
Yeah, especially if they thought he was innocent at first. Like you thought they would have like tried to defend him and stuff, but they saw what they saw was enough, then that's it. That should have been enough. But then he had to go and make a statement and basically confirm all those accusations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting how brands and game developers, publishers go forward when it comes to these associations, because you want to have these like co-branding stuff and cross-promotional stuff, because it's exciting, and people like in Fortnite, like there's so many stuff in there that like cross-promotion with different brands and stuff like that and creators. But this type of stuff can happen. Now, granted, it's not everybody, but Dr. Disrespect was like a top one. So if he can get caught with this stuff, then like anybody can. Like I said, nobody is safe. So I think that now going forward, these brands are going to be very peculiar about who they partner with and make sure that this is not going to blow up in their face, because I know Dr. Disrespect's all this stuff is starting to backfire on them, and they're just like, man, we thought we had like a significant deal, and now they can't, because I mean they had it, but now they gotta backtrack and delete everything, pretend like it didn't happen, which is like they have egg on their face now because they supported him.
You know, I was so close to buying that Dr. Disrespect Turtle Beach headset.
No, for real?
Yeah, because I was looking to get a new one, and my friend actually has it. He's like, it's a good headset, you should get it. I'm like, yeah, but it's like $50 more just because it says like Dr. Disrespect on it. I said, nah, I'm not getting that.
Yeah, no.
So I dodged a bullet right there.
I'll be honest, in general, Turtle Beach headsets, they're not that bad. They're not that great. They're okay, like if you're just looking for a headset just to have a headset, but if you really want to get a better headset, there's a lot better out there.
Yeah, they're also more expensive.
It depends. Depends.
All right, let's move on from the controversy. Let's get into some other news, okay? Because we're done with Dr. Disrespect, just like
everybody else.
Yeah, so let's move on to some news regarding PlayStation VR 2. So, PlayStation VR 2 was released in February 2023, and a year after its release, they just haven't been doing very well. It's the lack of first-party exclusives, the steep price when it concerns, a VR headset, and the lack of backwards compatibility. You can't even play regular PlayStation VR games. And then also delays in retail, getting them to the market. It's just not good. They even, the PlayStation London studios that closed down earlier this year was the studio that was focusing on VR. So now they don't even have studios to really, release these PlayStation VR 2 games. And it seems like now they're just gonna stop funding it altogether. And it kind of sucks that they just had their state of play that showcased I think it was like 3 or 4 PSVR 2 games. I don't know how well they were received within the community. I know overall the state of play wasn't that great, so it could have been that great. But now, no funding for PSVR 2, and it's just another sort of like PlayStation gimmick that just failed.
Yeah. I mean, I have to give Sony some credit that they did try to support it. I mean, when they announced the PSVR 2, like a lot of people were saying like why? You already have the PSVR 1. It's like why not just make that compatible with the PlayStation 5? And that way you can just continue on making that. And then maybe later on down the line, once there's a bigger adoption rate for the PS5, then you can make a PSVR 2 and then go from there. Because the technology is not in the headset. Like, yeah, like all the sensors and stuff like that, it's on the headset, but the actual like graphics and the power comes from the console. So they didn't really need a new headset. But they wanted to kind of market it and sell it and stuff like that. So I get it. I get it from that perspective. But ultimately, it's VR is a niche product. Like I've said it for years, and people just they don't want to believe it. They want to believe that VR is the next generation. Like that's what we're gonna be playing like in the future. We're all gonna be on VR headsets. And so, even these corporations, the whole metaverse and like Facebook and all these companies want to get in on that VR stuff because they think it's the future, but it's not. Like it's just not. Like the technology is not there yet.
Yeah, it's not there yet. Maybe it is the future, but maybe the future is far out.
Yeah, way in the future. And because I have a VR headset, I got one for my kids, and they love it. They play with it like every day. Like they take turns because they only have one. So it's like once one is done, the other one jumps on, and it's like they love it. Granted, they only play like the free to play games because I bought them a few games and they don't play them. It's like, why am I buying you games? You don't play these games. But yeah, so they love the VR.
Look at the mirror on that statement.
I know. But yeah, so it's like it's always a gimmick, and I feel like even when in the beginning when VR was starting to take off, I always thought it was gonna be good in a public setting, like at like a Dave and Buster's, which they do have at Dave and Buster's. I remember I went the last time and they had like a Star Wars thing. It was actually pretty cool. But in those types of situations, I feel like VR can thrive. They even have like VR studios where you can like tour like 4,
Sandbox?
5, 6. Yeah, Sandbox VR. That's what it's called.
Sandbox VR.
I want to do it so badly, but it's like I need enough people to come with me because it's expensive.
Let's go. What are you waiting for?
Hey, if you're down, I'm down.
Let's go.
But yeah, so like in those scenarios, that's where VR shines the brightest. But at home, I feel like there's not enough people, one, who have the space for VR, and two, who can handle the motion sickness aspect, because that's also been an issue too. They're like people like they can't stay on it for more than like 30 minutes because they get motion sickness, they get dizzy and stuff like that. And I don't know how to fix that. I mean, that's not for me to figure out, but yeah. So the fact that Sony wanted to double down and do the whole PSVR 2 and not make it backwards compatible, I think that was the biggest mistake they could have made. Not being backwards compatible with PSVR 1 was a huge mistake on their part. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it just sucks because I think VR could have been a good avenue for them. And it's also funny too because I think initially Microsoft wanted to do VR as well. At least they spoke about it. They said that they're looking into it and stuff, and they even have the HoloLens, which is not really VR, it's AR. But yeah, and now technically they're in VR, not in the traditional sense that you would think. They partnered with Meta to get Game Pass on the Meta Quest, so you can like stream the games in VR, so that if you don't have a screen, you can just stream it on there. So that's something. But
I mean, that's just moving the needle further into the future of what we'll see more companies doing with VR, allowing their apps to go into VR and using it for VR. And that's what also needs to happen in general with VR. You need all these companies to start being compatible with these, with these VR headsets, if you really want it to be the future,
Yes. And honestly, one of the biggest, I want to say W's that MetaQuest did was make their MetaQuest VR headset compatible with Steam. So that way you can stream the games from your PC, the VR games, onto your headset. And I think PlayStation
they were working on that. They were working on getting it to be able to work on Steam. But there's, of course, there's still some things that they have to work through. But even now, where does that leave us? Because funding is basically gone. What
But
are they going to do
I think they're kind of like they're gonna prop it up with that. So
with
it's like,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
they'll like release one or two VR games or whatever on the actual PlayStation Store. But then they're gonna tell people, like, if you really want the best experience, they're not gonna tell you, but they're essentially gonna push people towards using that, like the PC side of things. Which, I mean, for PC players, I'm sure it's great because, well, maybe not, because the PSVR 2 is pretty expensive still.
It is. It's still 500, 550.
Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
no.
They'll probably
You could
better
get a
get it off
you could get a
a,
Meta
Me-
Quest for like 250.
a MetaQuest, or do they still make HTC Vives, right? I don't know. I'm
Nope.
not. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's the thing. I don't really follow like the VR stuff, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, it sucks that now these studios are gonna suffer that are exclusively making games for PSVR, and now it's not a viable platform anymore because Sony gave up on it. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, but I think Sony's out for VR. I don't think they're gonna make PSVR 3.
no, definitely not. They're definitely not. All right,
What they should do is, and what Xbox should do is, if they're gonna make it, like if they want to get into the VR space, just make your console compatible with other VR headsets, like what Steam did with the MetaQuest and PlayStation VR. If you can do that on a console, just stream the game to the headset, then that's fine. I've used that. I tested it out, and it works almost flawlessly. Like, yeah, there's a little lag here and there depending on like your internet connection, but for the most part, it's almost seamless. So I think that might be the future for VR on consoles. Just like play the game and then stream it to a MetaQuest or whatever.
yeah, that may be perfect.
'Cause
How you get? I mean, it's not true VR.
it's not true
but
VR, but it's probably the next best thing without breaking the bank.
true. True. Yeah. All right, I guess we're gonna move on to the next set of news, which is this one just recently came out. I think it was last month, but City Skylines 2 had a big update. So City Skylines developers had made it to where the economy and the market is almost as realistic as possible to how we do business today. And what ended up happening is people were creating these cities and economies will go just like it is today, and then housing prices were skyrocketing, landlords everywhere renting was high, and people in the cities that they created couldn't afford to buy homes. They couldn't upgrade. They couldn't get past wherever they were. So City Skylines development team and the AI decided to fix the housing crisis essentially. And their solution was to get rid of landlords completely. No renting allowed at all. And what happened was that the economy fixed itself. Housing prices went down. People were able to buy homes and just enjoy life in these cities that they were creating. And it begs to differ. Should we do that in real life? Can we get rid of all landlords?
I was just about to say, when you told me this story, I was like, yo, you need to send this to our government and tell them, look how it works.
Yeah.
If you want to fix our economy, just get rid of landlords, get rid of greed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And
that's essentially exactly what you want to do. Get rid of all greed, corporate greed, landlords. Get rid of all of them. Get them out of here. Get rid of lobbyists, which is just corruption that we allow. It's just get rid of all that. You can fix a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly worked in the game. I mean, granted, they'll just say, "Oh, it was just a game," but it's like,
sure, it's just a game.
Why don't you try it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just give it a try. If it doesn't work, you bring them back. Who cares?
The lobbyists will bury the story. Not here at the Loading Out podcast. We
Right?
got you covered.
That's crazy though. Like, I wonder how, like, they thought. All right, so it works on the AI, right? Like that's like based off of it bases everything off of how like real life works.
Yeah, how they made it as realistic as possible for our economy and how it works. So,
Oh,
and then the AI just learned from it, and they came up with a solution of getting rid of landlords, and that eventually, over time, fixed the housing market, fixed the crisis. People were able to buy homes. The prices went down significantly. So, I mean, you want a healthy market, a healthy society, you can do that. Get rid of the landlords, get rid of the greed, right? Make prices affordable, and people can buy homes. They can live sort of the American dream, because right now, American dream's in a good dumpster.
yeah.
You know,
Well, let's not get too political now.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm talking about for the
we we
housing crisis.
we
I'm
could
for
go
the
on a
housing
whole
crisis.
tangent.
I'm
But
talking about
no,
for the
that's
housing, particularly when it concerns this. And the reason why we bring it up is because City Skylines 2 is a game that uh people have been playing and realizing what's going on, and it's like, well, maybe
it,
we could do that.
it is an interesting like study of like this happening and it working. So it's
Yeah,
like maybe it could work elsewhere. Who knows?
yeah. Who knows? Maybe. I mean, it's just a thought,
Yeah,
and also it is just a video game. There are different real world consequences in the real world for things, so it's just interesting to see that this can actually happen in sort of like how City Skylines is a simulation.
right.
So I mean, it was just fun to read. Get rid of landlords.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we'll move right along with the Keystone. So the Xbox scrapped patent Keystone was sort of released. They released a concept art of it, and we got to see a little bit more of what it looked like. And I don't know, it looks weird. What do you think of it?
All right. So I didn't expect it to be this. Maybe. I mean, granted, this is a patent. It wasn't anything finalized. I mean, we did kind of see a prototype
Mm-hmm.
when I think Phil Spencer was doing an interview. It was like on his shelf, his infamous shelf.
Yeah, the shelf.
Um, so I thought it was a. I mean, we said in when we were talking before this that it looked like a PS1. Based
Yeah,
on it, just looked like a square with the circle. Um, so I mean, it's supposed to be a streaming device, so it's like it doesn't really have to be any particular shape. It just needs to be something that's gonna be able to, I guess, last because streaming. I mean, it seems like it's just magic. Like you could just do it, but it takes some horsepower to do it. Like you can't just do it. Like I just recently I got for my cousin, he wanted me to pick up a projector,
uh-huh.
and but it's one of those like regular projectors. It doesn't have anything on it. Like I guess like newer projectors have like they have like Amazon TV or like Netflix and stuff like that. So I had to dig up because I just happened to have an old Fire Stick, and that I haven't used in years, and I was using it and it was so slow, and but it works. I mean it does the job, but just compared to how things are now, like with like on the Xbox, I could just fire it up, start Netflix, and I'm in something within 30 seconds. So, and same thing like with my phone or whatever. Like technology now is like so fast that like you forget that older technology it's slow.
Yeah.
So, um, they with the Keystone they had to like figure out a way to make sure that it doesn't degrade as fast because you'd want this to last a long time.
And that's hard to do. It's hard to
And
predict.
it is hard to predict because you never know what's gonna happen, and maybe there
Yeah.
might be different iterations later on. But I think the reason why they didn't do it is because it was probably just not like financially viable for how many people would actually buy it.
Yeah.
And I think there would be a good chunk of people who buy it, but streaming games is still not quite there yet. Like yeah, for Nvidia GeForce Now, um you can argue like that's like the pinnacle of what it means to be game streaming because a lot of people say that it's like near 1-to-1, like it's almost indistinguishable from playing natively, which
Most
is
people can't tell the difference at all.
yeah. And I mean even with PlayStation, it's not PlayStation Now anymore, but you know the streaming for PlayStation and Xbox xCloud, so like all that stuff is like it's almost there, but it's not quite for the average consumer maybe, but for like enthusiasts like us, like, who want that response time and that the less input lag, it's not quite there yet. But for the average consumer, they're probably gonna look at it as a whole new Xbox, and they might be put off by like, oh, it's a streaming thing. Like maybe
Yeah.
it was just like some issue in that respect that they were just like, no, it's probably not worth it to have a dedicated box just to stream. Because then I think the reason why they also wanted to partner up with other like app manufacturers, like they basically wanted to function just like an Xbox, but stream games instead of playing games. So they had to have like the Netflix on there and all the other streaming apps, Max, Disney Plus, all that stuff. And maybe it just wasn't worth it. They probably would have preferred people just buy a Series S at that point, because I don't know what the price point would have been. I think they
So
said. I think
they said between 99 to 129.
okay. So I mean, that's decent.
It's yeah, but it still wasn't gonna like the
Yeah,
price to run it would probably be more than that, and so it
because
wouldn't be financially stable.
yeah, you're right. Because you have to compare it to what else is out there,
Yeah.
and everything else is significantly cheaper. Like with, I mean, we'll get to it in a little bit, but the Fire Stick, like if you were to compare it to that, like that's like $50, $60.
$60. Yeah.
Yeah, for like the 4K one. So
Yep.
it's like that. It makes no sense to want to spend almost double that for a lesser, well, not lesser, but it's like it's more for gaming. Like, but if you want to focus on gaming, just get an actual console. So
Yeah.
it's like I think it was just a breakdown in that realm where they were just like, it's probably not worth it just to make a dedicated device. At least right now. Maybe in the future, when things are more like digital oriented, then maybe they'll come back to it. But at least right now, it's probably just not worth it.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't think it will be worth it at all. Especially since most people already don't understand like Xbox Series X, S, and then the One S, One X. They get
Yeah,
confused with that. Now imagine adding a key like something like the Keystone. It's just gonna be more confusion for the casual market, and it's
right.
just not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, remember there was a lot of people. I mean, people will never admit it on Twitter, but I have firsthand experience of somebody who was gonna get the PlayStation Portal because they thought that was like a PSP. I mean,
Yeah.
technically the acronym is PSP, but they thought it was native, and I had to tell them it wasn't. Like, no, it's
Yep.
just streaming, and they were just like, oh, for real? Like I was about to like get this, and then they decided
Yeah.
not to. So that was, and then and they ended up getting a Steam Deck instead. But
Good choice.
yeah, good choice. But yeah, so that's a real scenario though. People will not understand that things are streaming and not native, and then they'll have like a rude awakening because of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll jump right into it because it has to do with everything. Xbox Gaming is now coming to in July. Select Amazon Fire TV devices. So the Fire TV, Fire TV Stick, the 4K Max, as well as the regular Fire Stick, will be able to access Xbox Cloud Gaming with a Game Pass Ultimate subscription. You can play games like Fallout 76, Starfield, Hellblade 2, all these major games that are coming to Xbox. All you need is a controller, and it will work with both Xbox and a PlayStation controller. You just play your games on your TV. You don't even need the console anymore.
Yeah, and this is the future that Xbox has been essentially prepping everybody for. And they get a lot of shit for it. I mean, if you look at Xbox's past, like they've always been early to the party,
Yeah.
and they gotten shit for it. And then like later on, it's just like, oh yeah, they saw what was coming. They were just too early, and people weren't ready to accept it. Like the whole TV stuff. Like now, every game is a TV show now. And yeah, same thing with digital. Like they wanted to do. Remember they had that family plan that they were gonna introduce,
Yes.
and everybody was just like, oh, but what happens if you start playing a game that someone else is playing? Like, but then what if like I have the digital version? Like I can't share. Like there was so many questions that they just ended up scrapping it. But now you look at Game Pass, and then they were gonna do the family pack plan for that, everything is digital now. Everything is DRM. Like you have to sign in to verify that you own the game. So it's like, and this is across all platforms. Like Nintendo does it, PlayStation does it, but Xbox did it first, and now everything's the same. But they got shit for it first as well. So I think now it's the same thing. Like people are, they're trying to come at Microsoft and saying like, oh, but why are you disregarding the console? This is and that. It's like they've been saying this, like this is the future. They want Xbox to be on every screen, and this is how you accomplish that. Yeah, and honestly, it's a big move to get to partner with Amazon to do this.
Big move. I don't think people will understand how big a move this is. People buy TVs from Amazon, and they market their own Amazon Fire TVs out there first. You know,
Yeah.
so unless you're specifically looking for particular brand, they're gonna be out there showing you Fire TVs, and then on those sort of pages where you see it, you're gonna see like play your Xbox games right here on the TV. So people are gonna be like, man, I could get a TV and play Xbox games. Boom, done.
Yeah,
You know, Fire TVs are super popular. Lots of people have Fire Sticks.
Yeah,
you know, they're gonna be able to play all these games without even owning a console, and the monthly active users for Xbox are gonna go up. Game Pass subs are gonna go up. This is exactly what they want.
Yeah, and it's just the tip of the iceberg too, because what people are not seeing, they're looking at the now. They're not looking at long term.
Yeah.
This could potentially lead to a partnership with Xbox and Amazon, because the Xbox has done partnerships before for the streaming, like with Samsung, and I think they're gonna put it on LG TVs and stuff like that. But it extends beyond just allowing them to game stream. Like, no, how many times, like we've said it before, or not we've said it before, but we've seen it before, that Samsung has like they have special deals with Xbox where you can get a $20 gift card, or you get 3 months of Game Pass just by being a Samsung Samsung members. If you have an account with them, like with your phone, if you have a Galaxy phone, they've done it so many times. And if they were to do the same thing with Amazon, can you imagine if you get Game Pass Ultimate, you also get Amazon Prime? Or maybe if it's backwards, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free 3 month for Game Pass. Like that's crazy. Like that's what they want. They want that partnership. They want Game Pass is the product. Like that's what they want. That they want that to grow. If they can get Game Pass in the same vein as the Amazon Prime, then that's it. That's GG. Like that's what they want.
Exactly. That's exactly what they want. But a big but here. They're not going away with consoles. They're still working on the next console. They're still their core part. Yes, they want Game Pass to succeed significantly, but the console market is there, and they're going to cater to it. And those console market people, those people who buy into the console market, they're not growing. They're not growing. No. They're stagnating. You know, they're going to have a console, no problem for those who want it. But what is growing is Game Pass, and this is how you do it. You do it with partnerships. You do it with Amazon, with Samsung. You get your product out there in as many places as possible without the console, and you'll see your numbers go up. They're playing 4D chess.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. This partnership is going to be amazing for them. And who knows? We'll see maybe even more games come to Game Pass because of all these partnerships and all this money they're going to be making now. You know, it's just going to be absolutely insane. The future for Xbox gaming in general, whether it's on PC, a TV, or the console, it's really good. They have so many avenues or ways for people to play, and that's what they want. They want people to play. They want more people to play how they want to play.
Yeah, and going back to like the whole console thing you were talking about, like people need to understand that the console is very lucrative for Xbox. And here's a great example. I was thinking about this the other day. So what is one thing that we always talk about when it comes to like new game releases? When it comes to like the next gen consoles, and what do we always complain about? Why is it on last gen? Like, why is the next Call of Duty still on last gen? Why is Jedi Survivor getting a last gen port? The reason is because the last gen consoles are lucrative. They still make money from Fortnite, from Warzone, from Destiny, from Apex Legends. All these games are still generating revenue on the console itself, not just in general. Like they're on the console. People are buying packs, they're buying the skins, they're buying the currency. That is still making money for them. And if Xbox were to get rid of consoles, they would get rid of that revenue. And that is insane for them to do. They would never do that because that just makes no sense. They're throwing away money at that point.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why consoles will not go away, at least for the foreseeable future. Maybe 10 years, 15 years, maybe we'll see a future where there won't be any consoles and it'll just be an app on your PC or your TV. But right now, they make too much money on consoles to get rid of them. Maybe they don't make the sales, but they get the DLC, the microtransactions, and all that stuff. That still makes money for them. And if they were to get rid of that, they'd be crazy. So for everybody that's getting worried about the console going away, it's not going away, and you can thank Fortnite for that.
Thanks, Fortnite.
But it's the truth. That's why they're supporting last gen for as long as they have been, because it makes money.
I mean, Sony did come out and say that, was it 50% of their users are still on PS4?
Yes.
They're still out there spending money and making money, you know?
Yeah, if they really wanted to, they could have killed the PS4 long ago. Xbox could have killed, I mean, technically they have, like they stopped manufacturing it, but in terms of support, they're still making games for it. They're still releasing the skins and the DLC and all that stuff. You can still buy them on Xbox One. Elden Ring is still on Xbox One. You can still play it on Xbox One. So it's like the DLC you can play on Xbox One. So it's like, if they really wanted to, they could have killed it off a long time ago, but it makes no sense to do that. So they're not going to kill off their console.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not. No, people don't have to worry about that at all. Just play wherever you want to play. Play on your Xbox, play on your PC, play on your TV now, coming this July.
Yeah. And then this is gonna be a huge boom for them, because imagine if you on the Fire Stick, a lot of people just they browse. They browse. Imagine seeing a big Xbox banner and it's like, play these games, play Starfield, play Hellblade, play the upcoming Indiana Jones. Like, they're gonna see that, and that's what's gonna drive people to Game Pass.
And they exactly, because we're in the know. Okay, we're in this the gaming sort of sphere. We're on Twitter. We know about Game Pass. We know about all these subscriptions. That's why we talk on this podcast to let other people know, because there are a lot of people out there who don't know what Game Pass is even today. Yeah. I was telling coworkers, like, why don't you just get Game Pass? They were like, oh, I want to get the new Assassin's Creed game, but Call of Duty comes out first. I said, bro, get Game Pass. You have a PC, get Game Pass. You'll have access to Call of Duty plus hundreds of games. Save your money to get that Assassin's Creed game. And now I sort of convinced him to get Game Pass. He didn't even know what Game Pass was. I had to show him on my phone. The casual market out there don't understand. They don't know everything. And that's one reason why we want to do this podcast, to get the news out there to all you people who were listening, who would listen, that there's more out there than you realize. Right. More that you can do in the gaming world.
It's funny. It was a few years ago, but I used to game share with my cousin, and I had Game Pass, so he also had Game Pass. And I guess there was like a game that he was playing on there or whatever. And then I recently I started Game Pass, or not Game Pass, game sharing with my brother instead, because he's the one who mainly uses like the game share stuff. So once I switched it, my cousin called me. He was like, "Hey, why is this game not working?" I forgot what game it was, and I was like, "Well, I started game sharing with my brother." He was just like, but you were giving me Game Pass. Like, I needed that. And I was like, well, get your own. And he did. But that's the thing. Like, people don't realize, like, I think somebody else said it too. Maybe it was like Gene Park on Twitter, that once they got rid of their Game Pass subscription, they started realizing that, wow, I can't play these games anymore. Like, they didn't realize they were playing it through Game Pass, and then they resubbed. So it's like, you start building your library based on Game Pass, and it's like, you start to realize how valuable it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally hundreds and upon. It's like, I think it's like almost 500 games on there right now.
Yeah, it's crazy that they don't mention that. Like, I know why they do it, because I think they said something like they don't want to reach a point where it ever gets lower than what the advertised thing is, because then they feel like they have to keep it up there, you know? Because like you say, they have like almost 500, maybe more, but they still say over 100, because they know at least there will be 100 games in there.
They're not going below 100.
Yeah, they're not going below 100, but it's all, I've never seen it below 400. So it's like, yeah. And that's just on console. That's not even counting PC Game Pass.
Exactly. So I mean, there's so much people can do with Game Pass subscription. With just now with this partnership, there's so much they can do, and the future of Xbox is bright and looking up. Honestly.
Yeah.
No more doom and gloom.
No more doom and gloom. You know what's gonna happen next week.
No. No more. I mean, that's it. That's what we got for the news this week. You know, it's been a sort of light week.
Yeah, it's been a light week ever since the showcase.
Yeah, it has.
Which is, I mean, it's not a good thing for us because we need news to talk about, but it's not a bad thing either, because I feel like every time there's news, it's always like controversial or negative. So, it's nice to have a slow week, but we need more stuff to talk about.
We got plenty. We made it.
We did it. But yeah, so that'll do it for us, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and to rate us on whatever podcast you're using, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is that you choose. And also click the links in our description to support us and our sponsors. Use the code LUP on W Energy and try out their new flavors. I know they got some new flavors on there. I'm actually gonna try it on now because I gotta get back into my gym mode. So
nice.
So yeah, do that, and that will help us out a lot. And follow us on our socials, and check out our TikToks and everything. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Laters.